Hi, my name is Anna. This is my learning outcome number 1 for English 5. Events that changed our world. Black Summer. Uncovering the path to a more hopeful world. Part 1. The unforgiving blaze of Black Summer. A glimpse into the catastrophe of 2019 to 2020 that altered the world forever. The events. In the summer of 2019, from late July to early August, bushfires ignited across multiple regions of New South Wales in Australia. These would eventually spread to most of the nation. Over 100 fires raged across the state in the span of only 2 months. At the peak of disaster, it was a soot-black summer, dark skies and fire-red mornings. On November 12, 2019, catastrophic fire danger was declared in the Greater Sydney region. It was the first time since 2009 that Australia had to declare a national emergency and receive aid from its international allies. By January 2020, a staggering 46.03 million acres had been consumed by fires across all Australian territories, not to mention the fallout that affected Aotearoa, New Zealand, and other neighbouring states. The environmental loss was greater than ever. Ecologists estimate the loss of over 1 billion mammals, birds, and reptiles. This at a time when we were already concerned about the extinction of entire plant and animal species in one of the most biodiverse countries in the world. By February 2020, thankfully the situation was under control, but researchers confirmed devastating effects on both the people and the environment. By the time the fires had been extinguished, thousands of people had lost their schools, workplaces, and homes. Although the death toll wasn't as great as in previous disastrous bushfire seasons in the history of Australia, the number of casualties was incredibly shocking, seeing as the amount of damage was something that could have been prevented, and the wildfires were already known as a risk to the area. Authorities were aware of the extreme drought that would affect them, yet it took until December for a nationwide emergency to be declared. Part 2. Beyond the Ashes. The profound impact of Black Summer's bushfire on Australia's environment, economy, and the subsequent collective resolve. From ashes to rebirth. The major losses from this were, as we have seen, economic issues, environmental devastation, and the toll of events on the survivors. On the other side, however, there was a growth in recovery and rebuilding efforts, a rising climate change discussion including encouraging policy reforms, and community resilience that will lead to long-term adaptation in the future. I would also like to mention how there was a cultural response to all this. In the year 2020, a video game was released, Umurangi Generation. From a first-person point of view, the player captures a dystopian New Zealand that is actually closer to reality than one would imagine. This game is about the apocalypse, but it is far from apathetic about it. In fact, the game wants the player to feel hopeful. Umurangi Generation was released in May 2020 by Origami Digital and is heavily influenced by the creator's indigenous roots. Ancestral wisdom haunts the game. As one Maori saying goes, while the land remains, the inhabitants are gone. The title means red sky in Te Reo, what people witness day after day during the fires. There's also references to a traditional bird used in Maori ritual that was hunted to extinction, a warning about what would happen in the future. The devastation caused by Black Summer has not and will not be the last. Earlier this year, Hawaii faced one of its worst natural disasters in history, and its worst natural disasters to date. We also saw how Canadian forests ignited and dropped a heavy blanket of smoke in New York and surrounding areas. All this to say, hindsight reveals the path to a better response. What I have learned from researching this catastrophe is that there is much we can do to change the course of history. I believe if we would put in the effort to be engaged within our community, we would be able to advocate for those most vulnerable, including the indigenous stewards of the land, who have been here the longest and have its best interest in mind. Finally, part 3. Could we have changed things? I believe that yes, we do have a future. I would like to focus on 3 points. Early warning systems for prevention. Education and preparedness to disasters save lives. Fighting climate change by using the knowledge we have to make better decisions at every scale, individual to global. And thirdly, knowing that nobody can work alone. We require leadership and empathy in these times. We saw how mutual aid and crowdfunding lifted people up, kept them afloat. The authorities need to respond as well to the needs of the people during these times. Thankfully, wildlife can recover. Communities can be rebuilt. We just need to keep up the effort and support for our future. Oh, and I would like to mention the great video Art in the Pre-Apocalypse by essayist Jacob Keller that inspired me to research into the topic. That's all. Thank you for your time.